I forgot that I was I was live and I lost track of time. Apologies, everybody. I am. It's time for a 2 p.m. PST Twitch stream. My I'm your host, Strangebird Jim, and we are going to be getting back into Pega. Now, um, had um, so let me get my thoughts on correctly here. So yesterday I did some traces on the child case to see if there was something going on there. Um, and um, I found some interesting details. I saw that it appeared as though um, um, the child case wasn't being instantiated. So therefore, the values that were, attributed to um, that child class wasn't, they weren't found, and therefore the, um, the error comes up and says, hey, we can't find it. Um, so now I'm not quite sure how to go. I wasn't quite sure how to go about fixing it. I tried to contact my one friend and see what she had to say about it, but I never got a reply back from her on that. We'll see. Obviously, she has her own things that she has to deal with, her own um, things that she deals with in real life. Um, So I can't expect her to be like, coming back to me like right away. That's ridiculous of me to consider something like that. Um, so I don't know um, uh, if my potential solution is the correct one, because there was an option within the service case type um, to instantiate itself whenever the parent um, was created, which would seem to me like that would probably be a good thing for you to go about doing because um, the the child um, uh, isn't some alternative case that um, isn't an alternative stage, isn't part of like an alternative stage that may or may not occur. It's part of the main primary line that, you know, um, that will always be triggered. So one would think that um, you'd want to have that set. But again, I'm not 100% sure. Um, so before I started up here, I sent an email off to the person that has been like responding back to my edits for Pega Academy. Um, some, just now, you know, before I went live. Um, so we'll see if that has any change either. It is Friday, so most likely, if they're like on the East Coast, which I think they are, they're gone for the day. They're done. So, um, so hopefully, she'll see it on Monday, and and go from there. Um, so let me explain who I am. Um, my little what I normally say at the very beginning of these videos when it comes to Pega, so a lot of people aren't confused. So, hold on, I need to blow my nose real quick. Be right back. Sorry about that. I didn't want everybody hearing me blowing my nose. So, okay. So, um, a little bit about myself. I am currently working towards my certification for system architect. Okay, so I am not an authorized training partner. Don't consider this instructor-led training. And I am not endorsed by Pega whatsoever. So, um, or at least at this time. Maybe someday in the future, maybe they'll say, oh hey, this streaming guy is continuously streaming our academy. Maybe we should help him out. I mean, I wouldn't say no, but but my end goal is to get my own personal certification. Um, so yeah, there's that. Okay. Um, Now I'm gonna have some questions as we're going through this certification. So you know, if anybody is watching these, if you are a veteran of Pega, maybe um, maybe you're a trainer, maybe you are from Pega itself. Okay, if you can answer my questions, then please do so. Whether it's in the chat or if you're watching these like on my YouTube channel after the fact, feel free to leave a comment, you know, because um, if I have the question, then someone might have that same question as well. So if you're answering me, you might be answering someone else along with. Um, So if you're new to Pega and you have any kind of questions concerning that particular topic, feel free to ask. Now, I will do what I can to try to answer it myself, seeing that you're asking the question in the comment. Um, but if I don't have like a good answer for you, then I will try to see if I can find someone that can answer it. Um, so So know that, I will do what I can to help you out if you have your own, personal questions if you're watching these videos. Okay? So, um, hey there, Ro. How you doing? Huro? Sorry, I'm probably butchering your name there. I apologize. Welcome to the stream. How you doing? Um, 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 I'm not quite sure exactly what you're referring to there, bud. Um, okay, so let's go ahead and get into the dashboard and we'll go ahead and get into the system architect portion of things. So, are you referring to maybe the certification exam on the booking a seat and block it? So, ticket booking, concerning the um, taking the exam? I have no idea what else you're referring to there, but okay. Low code app builder. And now we tried doing the adding a duplicate case type search last time. I do want to try to get through this one again because we had a failure on this challenge, um, which could have been my mistake on only advancing the case to the enter payment information step. So when we book a movie ticket, um, you're probably asking the wrong section there, but uh, not not sure if I can help you on that. So you'll have to go to like another site on that. I mean, Pega is not a movie ticket booking site, so okay. So we are going to be going to the adding the duplicate case type search again. We're going to go through the same kind of scenarios. I'm going to go ahead and reset the Pega instance on that. Um, and we're going to go through all the steps again and try to see if we can get, um, we'll go through all the steps, set up the duplicate case, set up the weighted, and we'll try to see if we can do the confirm your work properly this time and hope that it might work. But yeah. Um, what I meant to say is basically when we book a seat, let us a user one log into application and books a ticket, and when next user logs, the ticket should be blocked. Okay, so you're trying to troubleshoot your own application, and unfortunately, um, um, I don't know if I can. Well, um, so, well, I mean, I have a little bit of time before the instance pops up. Um, I'm not an expert on this at all. Um, so, um, obviously you're trying to build an application, using Pega, and you want to try to, you want to set it up so that, um, you have a certain number of tickets for an airplane or wherever. Um, and when a user takes said, takes said seat, then um, it belongs to that particular, um, user, and no one else can take it. Now, most likely you're probably going to be wanting to set this up so that, it's like maintained on the, um, maintained on the company's database. Um, or you want to update their database to let them know that hey, this particular person has this particular seat, right? So um, what you may need to have is like a um, something to get all the seat information from the database. Um, what's available. What's you're collecting the information from like an airline, right? Um, so what you can do is that when the user selects that particular ticket, you can try to update the records to show that that ticket is no longer available. You can maybe set up like a boolean to basically say this ticket has been taken. Okay, so that if someone tries to look at said seat, at that particular moment of time, for like the next user, they'll see that that boolean is set up and they can no longer select it. They can no longer pick that particular seat. Um, so can we try when book seat status should stored as booked in database? We need to loop through. Well, I wouldn't necessarily be like looking through the database like all the time. Um, um, you don't necessarily want to be like, looking through it on, every second because that slows down the database, right? So, um, you'd want to, um, you'd probably want to be, um, you want to kind of check, you want to check the database probably in like in two separate times. One, you want to check the database when like the user checks in, so it kind of um, updates your um, all your records in the application. So like if someone is using an application in another computer, say, and they've already booked a seat, then that should already update the um, that should update the database that hey, that seat's been taken, right? So when a new user logs in from like a different computer, then it should update all the records of what's available, right? So so you probably have that, and then um, when you are trying to confirm a booking, check the database like right then and there first to make sure that there's like no like conflict. Like maybe like say two people enter the booking process at the same time, right? But one person is faster, um, they book that particular seat, right? They when they do the booking, the database basically comes back and says, "Hey, I'm still available. You're free to book me." Then you can proceed on with completing the booking. Paying for the seat and so on and so forth, right? So it will send the necessary information to the database that said seat has been taken, and then um, say the second person finally gets to that point of like, hey, I wanted that seat as well. I want to try to confirm is this seat still available? It checks the database. Database comes back and says, no, it's just been taken. So then it basically says, you know, sorry, this seat has been taken. Would you like to try it? Um, you will have to select another seat. You know, um, So, um, how to visually show that, I don't know. It depends on your application, but that's how I would try to go about doing it. So, but you want to check the database, probably during those moments of a user's experience when they first log in to kind of get that initial listing, and the time when they want to, book, actually, try to book a seat. So, and that's it. That's all you should be doing with the database. Um, so if you try to access it more than that, then you're causing too much strain on the database itself. You know, if you're trying to check the database every single second to see, to try to keep the um, to try to keep the information viable in real time, then that puts a little too much strain on the database itself. Now, um, now you could try to do that when, you might want to try to have that kind of, that style of database checking when it's like at the ticket counter, like they're trying to get tickets for the plane that's like about to leave. Um, then you might want to have that like in real time, you know, um, because um, the amount of checks at that ticket counter won't be nearly as much, right? You might have just, a couple people checking the database at any one particular moment in time at that particular counter, for the flights out of that particular location, right? So, um, but that depends on you know, what your application is kind of meant for. But when the user enters when login same time to check for details and block status, not show the seats which is blocked. Okay, well, if you're having an application that is checking seat status, then you don't want to limit the number of users. Like, okay, if you're doing an airport scenario where someone's checking the web and you want everybody to kind of be able to kind of check that out, you don't want to limit the number of users available to it. Um, you don't want to block, um, you know, like if, for example, if I'm logging into Pega here, okay, and like I log out and I log right back in, um, you wouldn't want me to block out every other user on the Pega Academy platform, okay, so that I'm the only one that uses this particular site, okay, that doesn't help you at all. So, I mean, unless the application requires it, but that seems very odd. All right. Okay, let's just a note. I will not be using the challenge walkthrough. There's no really need for me to do the challenge walkthrough. I only use it if there's a if there's a problem that I encounter that, maybe I'm kind of confused about, what the challenge is all about, that's the only time that I'll ever use it. Feel free to use it if you want, but for the most part, um, it's it's kind of meant to help you if you're stuck on a particular portion of the challenge itself. But um, in terms of what we're doing, we're just going to be going through the detailed tasks anyway. So uh, I meant to say when I log in application, it checked for user correct, enter correct password. Oh, okay. So you're trying to do a login system for the user, and you want it to check the database. Okay, so um, I'm not quite understanding what you're trying to go for in this one. Because you're kind of giving me like two different scenarios. You're saying, you want to have a user entering a correct password, but then you're saying when previous user book status. It's like, um, are you saying that you're having multiple users with the same username and password? That's dangerous. Okay. So here we are on this. Okay, so we're going to go to case type assistance request, and I'm running out of time on this one, but we'll see what we can do here. Okay. Okay. Here we are on this portion. Okay, so under create, we're going to click on the more icon. We're going to add a new process so that we can add this information here to that new process under create. So new process, and then added that in. Okay. Okay, so click step more automation search duplicate cases, and then click select to add the search duplicate cases automation to the process. So I try to book a ticket, but first we need to log in application to book a ticket. To log in, we require password. It checks database for correct password. At the same time, application checks for status, which are saved as blocked. Don't show the UI to user. Well, I mean, first you want to, you know, um, first you want to have like different, um, you're probably gonna want to like have different. um, like kind of case types so that I can handle different, the different scenarios or something like that. Like um, you want to kind of handle the login as its own separate case type. Handle the that process there where you're um, checking the login status. Check to see, is the username correct? Is the password correct? Um, look up the username, verify that that is indeed a valid username in the database. Then check to see whether or not the password is a valid password. You know, after that, you know, um, and then if neither one of them pass, then you want to just kind of repeat the process. Let the username start. So and that's before you even get to the checking the um, booking a ticket or anything along those lines. You don't want to even get to checking the booking of tickets until you get past that login part. So after the login part, then sure, but you know, but not before, not during, you know. So they have to pass the login first before you want to check the database for the tickets and stuff like that. So okay, so step more automations. Um, Search duplicate cases and then select. Okay, to the right of the collect information step named create 2, click the delete icon to remove the step from the process. Drag the result duplicate cases process under the create request process so that the create stage resembles the following image. So we are deleting this, and then we are dragging this there. So everything looks fine at that point. So, right. No, my friend. It sounds to me like you are trying to do something that might be corporate related. Um, and I don't want you getting in trouble with, your boss or anything along those lines. Um, so I would suggest, um, oh, I understand that it's very difficult to kind of put your thoughts through on chat. Um, but I would, I'm hesitant on, trying to help you out too much on this. For one, I'm not an expert, so, I can't really help you completely on that. If it's something like, job related or, um, like maybe you're, doing some kind of homework assignment or something along those lines, then again, um, then it'd be probably pretty bad for me to kind of help you out on that as well. So I just started learning Pega, not job related. Well, um, I'm gonna be shutting this portion of the stream down here pretty soon. Um, it's personal thought. I mean, so, um, I guess I'll just have to hold off on this for now, there, folks. Um, I'll finish this off another time. Okay, so you have, you know, under the create, you have um, you have the person entering their user ID and then entering their password, and then you check the database, you know, um, which you may need to use an activity to, uh, have it check the username first, and if it's in the data, if it's, obviously, send both of them to the database to have it check, but, have it check to see whether or not the username is correct. Okay, if the username is correct, then it checks the password. If it fails on the username, there's no need for it to check the password. Just have it fail out and have it returned. Okay. Um, but if it passes the username, then it checks the password. If it checks the password and obviously it passes, then great. If it fails, then you return back to the user and say that the password fails. Or, anytime you have both, either one of them failing, then you want to have that message, displayed saying that the username and or password failed, to validate, please re-enter, right? So, and that's all, you probably want to have your own like case type that just kind of checks the, a user's um, login credentials before it goes into the booking process, right? Okay. Um, but once it gets passed into the booking process, then it starts checking the airplane, the bus, whatever on um, you know it checks the seating arrangements, when they first log in, so you get an updated set of accurate details as to what seats are available. Um, the user can then check that list for what they want, okay, and then select it, and then it goes on to like the next portion of check-in to see whether or not they can actually book it. And then at the booking process, you want to check the database again to make sure that there wasn't like a second user that was out there that logged in, okay, into their account and already confirmed said seat, you know. So you have, user A, user B, okay? And you want both user A and user B to access the system at the same time, okay? Otherwise, if you have user A access the system and it blocks out user B, then that's not a really good application, okay? You're not allowing for others to access your application at that point, right? You want to have a user portal, and you want to have you know, a customer record that will maintain, their, username, username and passwords so that, both can access at the same time, you know, um, to check to see whether or not, the password, the username and password is valid. Okay. If both user A and user B has the right username and right password, then they should both be allowed in to book a seat. Okay. Um, and if one of them fails, then one of them fails, right? Okay. So say user A, user B gets into the booking process, right? Okay. They both get the same list of available seats at the same time, right? Because they're entering the system, they're entering the application at the same time. Okay. The database will be fast enough that should be able to handle, two users entering at the same time. Okay. So so the database will come back with the the listing of available seats. Okay. Now now you could try to see about, you know, um, does user A, what happens if user A and user B clicks on book at the exact same time. Okay. You could have that scenario where they both kind of click book for the exact same seat at the exact same time. How do you handle that? Okay. And in that particular scenario, um, you know, when it's like, two users booking the exact same seat at the exact same time, which, let's face it, even if, user A clicks on that button a couple of milliseconds prior to user B, then user A should automatically get that seat. Okay? Because he booked it first, Um, he had a faster response time, so he gets the seat first. User B gets the notification that seat has been booked. Please select a different seat. Okay, so it will go. So the process will go right back to the step of, or it will change stage back to the selection of seats. Okay, the database will you should send a updated listing to user B, and then you start the process all over again. Okay. And user B goes through that list and tries to see if they can book another seat. Okay. So, that's how my thinking might handle that kind of situation. Now, bear in mind, okay, what I'm telling you right now might not happen in real life. Okay. There might be a lot more that goes into a real life scenario. Okay. They might give priority to user B because maybe user B is a um is like a gold star member or something like that. Okay. Um, they might they might look at user A and see that user A is like a first time user of said application. So they may give a slight delay on booking for user A, and that gives user B a little bit more of a um, um, they might give user B a little bit more leeway to book whatever they want, right? They might give him a little bit more um, of a privilege to select a seat first before user A can. Okay, so so that um, Um, so that might um, that might change the system around. Okay, what I'm giving you might not necessarily happen in the real world. Okay, so so bear in mind that so what you're doing now, how to kind of set up an application, set up usernames, set up passwords, set up booking, and so on and so forth. You might have to throw all those ideas out the window when you get into a real life job. Okay. The business of you know the business employees, the marketing team, the logistics, they will come at you and they will come to you and say, this is the um, this this is the flow chart that you need to follow to get through your Pega application. Okay, and if you don't follow that flow, then you're gonna get kicked. you know. Now you might try to go to them and say, hey, well, wait a minute, you know, you're you might have a problem at this particular step in your flowchart. You know, don't be like a complete yes man in your programming and your developing. Um, but um, you know, but at the same time, you got to be careful on making too many waves too, because um, if you're being a like a troublesome employee in the sense that you're doing what you feel is right versus them, you might not necessarily make it very far on the job. So, um, and there's various ways to kind of change things up in your particular, personal project here. You can add in different scenarios as well. Like say, um, do you log out user A and user B if they haven't done anything in, and say, in the 20 minutes as you mentioned, refreshes if the previous user didn't book after 20 minutes. Well, what happens if they don't even touch anything? Do you log out the user after a time? So, um, you know, uh, would you, do you want to add like a little refresh button on the user's portal so if they click it, they refresh the airline seating? But be careful with that though, because if you do include said button that refreshes the seating, what happens when they click it like 20 times in a second? Okay, they spam the refresh button. What do you do then? So, how do you handle that particular scenario? If you want to do that. So, maybe something that you want to consider. Think about. What happens when someone is trying to spam a selection in some way or not? What happens if a person spams sign in like multiple times? You know, um, so obviously there's multiple ways to modify your application to make things a little bit harder for yourself. But I mean, these are all, potential things that you want to kind of think about when you reach the real world as well. So, yeah, I mean, if the user, if you know, if there's no like premium standard in the users, like if there's no, um, if everybody's kind of like same class, like all the way across, like there's no like first class and coach, okay, for example, right? Um, there's no like billionaires and regular citizen status, right? Everybody's like the same for the airline, right? They don't have any kind of uh, special treatment, special like um, programs for their longtime flyers or something like that, right? Maybe they don't have anything along those lines. So the only way that you can actually book is by the timestamp. So if they do have a program for, you know, for their users that fly all the time, for example, then maybe they want to give them some potential perks. Like maybe they have a code that allows for them to get a first class ticket, you know, um, upon booking. Now that might not necessarily work too much in terms of um, that might not necessarily work for like say you have two preferred users trying to book the same exact seat at the exact same time in first class. Okay, then once again you're falling back on the timestamp, right? Um, or you might fall back on, well, which, like if both user A and user B are both the preferred customer, the first class, you know, um, common flight um, individuals, then maybe they have a certain amount of seniority. Maybe user A has been flying for 20 years and user B has been flying for 10 years. Well, maybe you want to give a little bit more preferential treatment to user A because they've been flying with you more. You want to you want to kind of keep them as a customer even more. You know what I'm saying? So, these are all different scenarios that you can play up in your application if you want to do that. These are all potential scenarios that you might encounter in the real world. But again, like I've mentioned before, um, if you get on the job and they say you have to do it in this particular way, then you better be prepared to do it in that particular way. If you don't, well, they're gonna find someone that does. So, all right. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop this Pega session. Um, I didn't really get very far on this particular case type, so probably not gonna upload this portion to my Pega playlist. So because I really didn't do much. So I'm gonna just go ahead and stop the recording. Probably delete it later. Um, but um, I'll be back again, tomorrow to continue the duplicate case, um, challenge. I'll do it again tomorrow. Um, I'll finish it off tomorrow. So, um, and we'll continue on to trying to get our system architect. Um, we'll continue towards our system architect certification. So, um, So, um, oh, let's see. Let me go ahead and change YouTube around. Let's see. Update the live stream. So, okay. People and blogs. Here we go. Okay, so now I'm gonna be going into um, trying to upload some more videos for my YouTube channel. So, um, best way to clear CSSA certification. Um, I mean, um, so are you talking about the senior, or are you just talking about the um, just the standard system architect certification? Because um, the CSA is just the system architect. And if you want to do the system architect, then um, I can't help you too much on that, my friend. Um, I mean, I would go through the um, you know, I'd go through the mission that they have there, go through it multiple times, um, modify the you know, modify the challenges multiple times. But I'm not there. Okay, I'm working towards trying to get my CSA certification. So, you know, um, now you know there's little study websites that you could probably check out that has like mock questions. Some websites have like some people have tried to like memorize what kind of questions were asked during a certification, and then they put down those questions and the answers for said questions. So you could probably try to search online to see if there are some questions that might have been introduced into certification that you could probably check out and see um, if that might help you out. But um, I can't necessarily. I don't know what links. I've seen them before. I don't remember what links they are, so you probably want to do like a standard Google search for Pega Senior System Architect certification questions. You know, you could try something like that. So I seen 8.7 version questions, and that's perfectly fine. You know, um, there's, there might be obviously new content for 8.8, but you're going to be seeing 8.7 questions in your certification, if not even earlier versions than that. When I took, when I tried to take my 8.6 certification, and failed, there were questions in that certification that were still Pega 7. So um, they didn't even update those questions to Pega 8.6. Okay, um, so be prepared to look back at like previous um, um, in previous missions or whatnot to maybe see like what the changes were or something like that. You know, um, like there were keywords that they were like mentioning in my certification when I tried to take it, when I tried to take the uh, CSA first time for 8.6. I was seeing keywords that they used in Pega 7, but were changed in Pega 8. So, and now I would hope that the certifications would eventually get updated so you don't have to deal with Pega 7, but you might have to understand it anyway because when you're on the job, you might be working with people that um, they only learned Pega 7. Okay, so it's not, it doesn't hurt you per se to have a basic understanding of previous versions. Okay, it might even kind of reinforce what you've learned in the mission for the senior system architect. But um, know that um, you might need to um, you know you might need to kind of go back through that at some point and just kind of um, check to see what's changed. So don't be afraid to check out the previous versions to learn the current. Okay, because there's you know they might not necessarily be changing a lot for 8.8. Okay. They might add in a couple of new features, maybe, possibly. I don't know what the changes were from 8.7 to 8.8. Okay, I don't know. Um, but it doesn't hurt to go back and check out those previous versions because one, it might reinforce your understanding of 8.8. And two, it might show that um, the um, the transition that they were trying to go, that they were working on. Okay, so um, another thing that I would suggest that you do, if you can, try to see if you can find someone that is also working on their CSSA certification. You know, you might, um, you know, I would imagine you could probably check out their forums. Um, you could probably check out their forums and see um, if anybody else is trying to go for that certification, and maybe you can try to team up with them to, study with them at the same time, like in a Discord call or whatever, what have you. Um, and you can try to, you know, um, bounce ideas off of each other to help you study. Okay. It all depends on you. Okay. If you're more comfortable on just kind of studying in your own time, you're welcome to. But you know, sometimes it's helpful when you have someone that you can you can talk with like directly and you know get support that way. So maybe sometimes if you're not necessarily understanding a particular topic, you're that person might be there to help you understand a little bit better. Maybe they're understanding it. Um, but when it comes right down to it, you know, you may need to consider doing like instructor-led training. Okay. I can't, like I said, I can't help you too much because, as I mentioned before, I'm trying to work towards my CSA and, I have a long ways to go for that. Okay. I'm not an instructor, so, don't consider me as one. Okay. Um, I know instructor-led training does cost money, um, but you know, one would hope that instructor-led training would give you the best preparation for those certifications. Okay. Um, one would hope that you would have more of um, like a not necessarily a one-on-one because they don't do that, but they would have more of a you would have more of a like a direct connection to someone that knows the material more than I do. Okay, so you know so the questions that you're you know asking before about um, the steps that you need to do for user input, password, booking, so on and so forth, you know, they will show you the process of actually going about doing that. Okay. Whereas I might struggle with that. You know, I might have a hard time trying to explain, the exact steps that you would need to do in order to complete that application. You get what I'm saying? So, unfortunately, instructor-led training is expensive. So, I understand when if people are not able to do that. Um, you know, if I'm not mistaken, last time I checked, instructor-led training, some of the purchases for that was um, pretty, um, uh, yeah, pretty costly. So, um, mentor training, senior system architect, 12 days. Um, cost $1,050 US dollars. So that's expensive even in my opinion that's expensive. Okay. Um 1050 50 bucks. Okay. So I don't know how much that would be in India. So um one would hope that the cost would be adjusted for India. Um, because I don't know let's see, American dollar versus, yeah, $1 is equivalent to 82 Indian rupees right at the moment. So, So I mean, if it, if the $1,000 is, is the same cost in India, then you're talking about, 82,000 rupees. So, um, which, I don't know, you know, uh, I I would imagine, okay, that they have a program there in India to allow for certification, and the cost is, uh, one would hope, a little bit less. Um, but again, I don't know. It's 2 3 months salary, yeah. But let's put it this way, okay? Um, the if you can get that certification, okay, then that means that you have the potential of getting a better paying job. And that better paying job, while it might be, 2 to 3 months salary lost, if you can get a higher position for 20 years, then, sure, you might lose that, 2 to 3 months salary, but, you know, you would have that position for 20 years. So, you know, short-term cost for very long-term gain, potentially. So, so you have to kind of judge that, to your own, on how you want to go about doing it. So, um, now the training program, according to this, is very, very quick, 12 days for the entire certified Pega Senior System Architect certification. Okay, that is a lot of content kind of crunched into 12 days. So, um, now the Senior System Architect, they state that the three missions, the 12 modules, and the 11 challenges that they have is 1 day, 8 hours, and 30 minutes. Okay. If you break that down into like into days, into like 8 hour days, then you're talking about 4 days completely. 3 days for the 1 day, the 24 hours, and then of course you have the 8 hours and 30 minutes afterwards. So pretty much about 4 days of studying. Okay, and they're gonna kind of extend that out to 12 days. So, but even then, that's still a lot of information to cover. Um, but at the same time, if you have a really good instructor that knows what they're talking about, and they can kind of give you everything that you need to know, they can answer your questions, um, then be it might be of benefit to you too. Um, so I mean, if you're struggling to get to a good understanding of the senior system architect, then um, then consider, you know, putting some money away. I know that, believe me, I know that, trying to save money can be a challenge. I get it. Okay. So either one, you could try to see if you can, borrow some cash. I don't know what how bad that might be out in India. I don't know if they might, if that's even a possibility. If it is, are they going to, have a huge interest rate that, makes you bleed money afterwards? Hopefully that's not the case. But I mean, banks have been notorious to do that in the past. So, um, that's one way of trying to go about doing it. You know, do a loan, pay for the class, do the 12-day class, get a better job, and then pay back the loan afterwards. You can try it that way. You could try saving up your money to try to do a, um, to eventually pay for the instructor-led training, you know, which I don't know when they do the instructor-led training, so you may have to, um, you may have to, stop your, like maybe, not go to class, or you might not, you might have to stop going to work, just for the senior system architect class, which could be dangerous, depending on where you work. Um, or you know, do what I'm doing, which is trying to do self-study. Problem with self-study is that you're going to have a lot of questions that you might not have answers to. I can't help you completely on that. You know, I might be able to give you a little bit of insight, but I'm not I'm not an instructor. I can't give you the answer and all the answers that you may seek on that. So you may need to try to access the more of the forums um, on Pega. Um, let's see. Um, let's see if there's. I don't know if there's a. Let's see, Pega community. Um, yeah, so in the Pegasus support center, people ask questions like all the time in the support center. So what you could probably do there is maybe say, hey, I'm looking for people that are interested in studying for the 8.8, you know, um, certification. But be careful with that too, because they may just delete that. They may even just delete that from their Pega support center as well. Um, so because they're gonna, they want you to take their training. They want you to pay for that training. So seeing people trying to ask around for, um, to try to get, have your own study group, they might not necessarily support that. Okay, they may just kind of say, "Oh, hey, no, no, no. If you want support, you have to pay for it." Okay, so it might not necessarily work the way you want it to work along those lines. Okay, so be prepared for that as well. So, okay, I have not uploaded any videos to my YouTube in a while. That's unfortunate, but okay, let me get some more videos out so that I can get, try to stay ahead of the curve on this one. Um, you mentioned earlier you take the CSA certification mentioned above, where I need to concentrate more. Yeah, I mean that's another thing that you know, one of the nice things about the certification exam is that when they tell you um when you get back the results of the certification exam, they tell you like, what percentages you got out of the certification. So if you only got like 50% out of one particular section, then you can focus down on that and see about trying to get it to be a little bit better for you. Um, so take those sections and, you know, look into, studying those sections even more, um, so that when if if those particular questions come right back up again, then you can answer them confidently. So um, when it comes right down to it, though, okay, it's all about um, you know trying to um, you know the amount of practice you put in, the amount of studying you put in, every little bit of that, will eventually help you to get to your end goal. Okay. Um, it's not, it's not like, you will never get anywhere, um, um, by not, um, you won't necessarily, um, everything that you do, all the studying that you put in, all the challenges that you do over and over and over again, okay, that's always gonna help you, you know, get to your end goal, okay? So, Let's see. We will go ahead and name this video here. Replay. Okay, attacking. Alright. Let's go ahead and schedule that one. Oh wait, I didn't check to see when my next video would be released here on the 25th. Okay, so we want to release this one on the 26th. There we go. Schedule that video to be released. Okay, this is the 28th. What is this one all about? Alright, my GGG content. Range search. Uh, Star password. Okay. There we go. Okay, everything else looks fine. There we go. Schedule that for the 27th. There we go. And let me try to get one more video scheduled so that I have a little bit more, I try to stay ahead of the stay ahead of the game on I need to continue, staying ahead on the releasing the videos, seeing that I have a huge backlog of them. So okay, there's that. Okay, scheduling that for the 28th. There we go. Okay. Okay, that'll be good for today. Get those scheduled out there so we can get those released. Okay, I'm gonna switch on over to some World of Warships in just a couple minutes here. I forgot to double check to see if there was any updates for it, so this is gonna be interesting. And then we gonna be playing that for, a good number of hours. So, so, which of course I will be showing, but but let me make sure that everything's like, there's like no update or anything along those lines. Okay, it's looking like there is an update coming in. So this is kind of bad timing. Really should have checked this before I started streaming, but oh well. Um, so, yeah, hopefully, I mean, you're welcome to kind of continue joining me. I would, you know, I don't mind the company at all, but I don't know how much I can like personally help you towards the senior certification. Um, you might be better served um, trying to find other people that are trying to work towards that particular certification and trying to team up with them for a common study session. That's probably what I would suggest. Um, uh, you know, like I said, you're welcome to kind of stay, as I proceed through, the additional challenges that I have, the other modules, I mean, the missions are pretty much done, but the additional modules that I have, you're welcome to kind of go through, and get um, you're welcome to kind of go through, the content that I've already put out there. Maybe it might help you on a better understanding of, so when you do tackle the the senior, you might have, maybe a little bit better understanding at that. You're welcome to do that as well. Feel free to put, some questions or comments in my, I have a Pega playlist. I'm going through all of um, the CSA topics at this point. So, you're welcome to kind of go through that playlist and maybe that might help you, have a little bit more of an understanding there. But at the same time, um, um the questions that you will be seeing on the academy won't be the same exact questions that you'll be seeing on the certification. So, um, so that's why I say, try to maybe check out some other websites out there that might have like posted the questions. If you're not really understanding the questions, um, then check check the main topic for it. Um, like there's always keywords in those questions that you can always use to see, like, which module is it referring to, which mission is it referring to, which, um, like, you know, or maybe the question is covering like multiple different modules, so you might need to do that as well. So, um, but yeah, that's there's only so much that I can help you out with, my friend. So, um, um, but here's the thing. Here's here's something as well. Okay. Um, Sometimes when you are trying to um, when you're trying to teach someone, sometimes you get a better understanding of that particular topic. Okay. Because it's kind of reinforcing what you have in your own personal knowledge. So maybe try to see if you can find someone that's also trying to go through CSA in your local um, in your time zone and see about trying to help them study for the CSA. And therefore, when you're helping them study for the CSA, you get a better foundation of the CSA and the topics there, and that might help you for the senior. So consider that as an option. Okay. Um, I know that it's probably what 4 o'clock in the morning there, your time, in India. So, um, I wouldn't necessarily recommend coming to my stream all the time. Even though I do appreciate you stopping on by and chatting with me. Does it does help, um, but at the same time, I don't necessarily want you like losing sleep over it either. Um, you know, uh, so you know, check locally and see if there's someone else, trying to do the CSA or trying to study for the CSA and help them out. Be a mentor because sometimes being a mentor means that you also get a deeper understanding of the topics that you're trying to explain. So don't feel like um feel free to try to help someone else out, in that, you know, um because mentorship, um, you know, I, it's very sad the way mentorship is. It feels like, mentorship is something kind of down upon by current corporate climate, when in fact, it's probably one of the best tools that you can have. One, helping out new hires, learn the ropes and, make them into, the best employee that you want them to be. It also reinforces the knowledge of your employees that are, the the senior, the leads, so on and so forth. Because sometimes they may even ask you the questions that you might not have thought about. Okay, they might, you know, ask you questions that you've never really understood, and therefore you might need to go, okay, I'm not sure. Let's tackle it together. Okay. And by doing so, you both come out better. So it's something that I feel is quite lacking a lot in today's corporate society, and um, I want to try to encourage that more. So that's what I would suggest. So okay, so but I'm gonna go and switch on over to um, World of Warships. So I mean, if you're welcome to stick around and watch me get myself killed on in that game. But um, but that's where I'm gonna go ahead and close on down, those previous sections. So, do you have any recommended Pega YouTube channels? I do not. I don't know if there's, if there's a good YouTube channel that has kind of gone through um, certifications or whatnot, you could probably do a. Well, here, let me check. You know, um, let's see, studying Pega senior uh, senior system architect. Um, let's see. Okay, someone posted the PC SSA exam version 8.6 and 8.7 part 1 out there, which I don't know about that. Um, you know, CH Anime Pegatech process exam, um, Pega Gang. I don't know what that's all about. Um, Sandeep R. Um, there's a Pega portal, Pega tutorial for beginners. Um, that you could probably check out. Again, I don't know. I don't know um, which channel is like considered the best out there. So, um, last question. Well, sure, go ahead. No worries. Let's see. I want to switch on over to. Let me go ahead and get ready for World of Warships. Feel free to ask your question. Category Gaming. World of Warship. There we go. Okay, we are done there. Everything's closed on down. All right. All right, my friend. You take care. You have yourself a good night. I'm going to go ahead and switch on over to World of Warships. Um, so I'm going to be changing scene collection. So, um, I'm going to have like a little starting screen pop up. So feel free to stand up, stretch, get some water, get a snack, what have you. And we are going to go ahead and get into some World of Warships tonight. So, um, yeah. Yeah, that's probably about it. So be right back.